Well, with that, let's move on now to our next road test. We have a car next that definitely will be around for a while. It's the 1982 Honda Accord. This is the first major rework of the Accord since it was introduced in 1976. The first Accord was so widely acclaimed that Honda ran the risk of disappointing car buyers with its new version. But it seems like the only real disappointment that buyers might encounter is having to wait weeks in line to get one. A lot of people are lining up to buy one, such as Tom Poling of Sydney, Ohio. He's one of many people who have written to us for more information about the Accord. So without further ado, here it is.
When sales of any new car are very strong, list prices don't mean much. But for the record, the 1982 Honda Accord hatchback has a base price of $7,400, and our test car cost only a couple of hundred more. The Accord comes in this two-door hatchback or a more formal four-door sedan. Both models are bigger and more stylish for 1982. Square headlights and a slightly grinning grille are accompanied by nicely integrated bumpers. The rear hatch and taillights got a lot of attention during the restyling. They now have a less tacked-on appearance. Weight, it's about the same as before, 2,140 pounds. But the 82 Accord is 3 inches longer, just over an inch wider, and slightly taller than last year. I found the interior quite inviting. Seats are covered with durable fabrics and offer backrest adjustments and good all-around support. Clutch, brake, and gas pedals are also positioned in a near-perfect arrangement for sporty driving. Though the dashboard may look complex, it's really simple to understand with all controls functioning well. One exception, the heating and ventilation controls. Oh, they work fine, but their placement kept them hidden from many drivers behind the thick-rim steering wheel. Standard equipment includes a full-range tachometer, fuel, and water temperature gauge. The front-drive 1.8-liter four-cylinder has a lot of spirit. The 5-speed manual has the best shift linkage I've encountered on a Japanese car. It was precise with short throws and no notchiness even when cold. The ride is well controlled without being harsh. The power-assisted rack and pinion steering is light and quick but lacks sufficient road feel. Our staff found these factors really came together in handling test. Entering the course at 35 and trying not to knock over pylons, most were able to exit the course at 40 to 45. We do think a stiffer front end would be in order for true sports car handling, but for a family car, overall handling was excellent. Torque steer, the tendency to pull to one side and on and off again acceleration, was much less than in other Hondas we've tested. When it comes to acceleration, results were quite good. In a passing exam, from 40 to 55, you'll find the Accord's quick 4.8-second rise a great comfort. Mid-range power seems to be the Accord's strong suit. From a standing start, the 500-foot acceleration results were not quite as grand. 9.7 seconds and 55 miles per hour only rates a good on-ramp score. Upper range throttle also seemed a bit lacking, with an only average 18.8-second, 75 mile per hour quarter mile. We must note that our test car did not have air conditioning. If it had, results would certainly be slightly slower. One last turnaround also produced an average 34-foot score for the curb-to-curb turning diameter. If there's one thing that bothers me about front-drive cars, it's the tendency of the rear end to break away in panic stops. Such was the case with the Accord, though the 30-foot stops from 30 miles per hour were very good, with only modest fade and no pull. With front-drive cars, most of the braking is done by the forward wheels. The back end tends to want to continue forward and usually swings with the crown of the road. However, stops from 55 were accomplished in a very short 114 feet. Again, little fade, but some pull, combined with that rear kickout, made straight stops difficult to obtain. Moving on with more positive notes, we did find engine accessibility to be outstanding, even with the front opening hood. Filters, dipsticks, and plugs were all very easy to reach. As with most hatchbacks, backseat room, particularly for adults, is limited. But fold down that rear seat and you have a huge cavern that makes this hatchback almost a station wagon. Under that floor, you'll also find a temporary spare and a good scissors jack that produced a quick 17-minute tire change. Noise levels were surprisingly low, except at high speeds. As a crowning touch, we must also mention the high EPA gas mileage rating of 30 city and 40 highway. Our test mileage registered a combined 31 miles per gallon, slightly less than expected. I don't think any Accord buyer will be disappointed with this 82 reincarnation. We did think a lot of individual items about the car were only average, but as a total package, this Honda tended to be much more than the sum of its parts. The Accord is comfortable with a large cargo capacity. It's reasonably swift and handled very well in normal driving situations. In short, the Honda Accord hatchback is a very competent family car.